Yo, what is up guys? It's me, Zachary, back bringing you guys some more daily NBA news and updates. We got a couple of things to talk about today, so let's not waste any time. Let's get right into it. Lego. By far the biggest thing that happened yesterday was the NBA making changes to the NBA All-Star Game. They decided to entirely switch up the way that the teams will be selected. After another dry NBA All-Star Game last year, the league did kind of say that we could expect to see some changes for the upcoming season. And I guess the first step to changing it was this. Instead of having it as an Eastern Conference versus Western Conference game, both teams will now be selected by two captains that will be chosen by us, the fans. Under the revamped format, two captains will draft the 2018 All-Star teams from the pool of players voted as starters and reserves, making selections without regard for conference affiliation. The captains will be the all-star starter from each conference who receives the most fan votes in his conference. So basically, us the fans continue to vote like we've been voting. However, instead of that just being the lineups that are used in the All-Star Game, the player from each conference who gets the most votes are going to be selected as the team captain. And then they just draft players based on the total pool of players. Doesn't matter if the players are from the Eastern Conference or the Western Conference. And all of that does sound pretty good so far, and I'm excited, but it isn't all good either. There are still a few things that kind of concern me. The first thing that concerns me is I'm just still not a fan of having to vote for players based on conferences. Like I said, even though the team captains get to pick the team, we still have to choose the players to participate in the All-Star Game based on conferences. So like 12 players from the West and 12 players from the East. I feel like if the NBA is going to do it this way, where there is just one big draft of players, it shouldn't matter what conference the players are from. They should just allow us, the fans, to vote for the best players in the NBA regardless of conference. If it's not the East or the West, then why does it matter how many players the East has to represent it and the West has to represent it? It should just be two teams made up of the best players in the freaking NBA. Now you'll still see some players in the Western Conference who won't make the All-Star Game, even though they're clearly better than some All-Stars who made the All-Star Game just because they're in the Eastern Conference. With the way things are now with the new draft system, it just doesn't make sense to have it like this anymore. The better players should be rewarded regardless of what conference they're in. The next thing that not only has me worried, but basically everyone worried, is the whole captains deciding the team. This for sure seems like a great thing on the surface since it spices things up, but when you stop to think about it, it could do just as much bad as it does good. Captains are humans. Humans, we have friends, we have preferences, we have enemies. Some players like some other players more than others. Some players are friends and some players don't like certain players. So when you have players picking the teams, you have these captains picking the teams, it could get to a situation where even though one player is the clear option, when one player is clearly better than the other player, the captain will still pick the worst player just because the worst player is their friend or just because they don't like the better player. So that's something to look out for. I mean, it wouldn't be the absolute biggest deal if this happened, but it is stuff that could start to happen. Players could just start picking their friends. For example, if Dwayne Wade, Carmelo Anthony, and Chris Paul are all All-Star candidates this year, and LeBron James is a captain, you already know he's going to try and pick Carmelo Anthony, Dwayne Wade, and Chris Paul because those are his best friends in the NBA. He wants to play with them when he could have picked other players that would have been better for the team. The last thing that people are worried about that isn't even necessarily 100% true is what if Zaza Pachulia or a player like Zaza Pachulia becomes captain? The NBA said that the captains are chosen by the fans, the people who receive the most votes by the fans. Zaza was right up there the past 2 years in terms of fan voting, so wouldn't this mean that he could now be a captain for the All-Star Game? Not really, because while the NBA said it is chosen by the fans, the Zaza rules from last year will still be in place. They will still affect this, where 50% is chosen by the fans, but the other 50% is chosen by the media and the players. So there is no way that Zaza Pachulia will make the All-Star Game. That's all the things that are seen as being wrong with the NBA All-Star Game so far this year, but there is a lot of right. There is a lot of things to be excited about. First off, the All-Star Game as a whole will be much more entertaining. The past few years, I've watched it as more of just a formality, something that I got accustomed to doing just because of the NBA All-Star Game. There's nothing else to watch. Why not? I'll watch it. But when I was watching it, I wasn't really enjoying it as much as we think we should be. It's not competitive. For the most part, it looks like the players are out there just having a shoot around. And that's kind of going to be fixed now too, because the teams will be playing for something. This is being turned into a charity event. Both teams will be able to pick a charity, and whoever wins the game will have all donations that the All-Star game receives donated to the charity of their choice. So this does give the players some incentive to make sure they want to try and win the game, which should up the intensity. I'm not expecting like a game 7 of a playoff series intensity, but I'm also expecting much more intensity than you could find during a freaking shoot around. Other than that though, like I said, it's just going to be a lot more exciting to watch. Are some Cavs fans really still tight about Kyrie Irving asking to be traded from the Cleveland Cavaliers? Like, I get it. When it first came out, you could have been shocked, you could have been hurt, but now it's time to move on. Look at this ad in a train or a subway or something that took some shots at Kyrie Irving. At least Isaiah Thomas knows the earth is round. Clearly a shot at Kyrie Irving, since he came out during the All-Star break last year and said that he believes the earth is flat. It's just a shame that the creators of this ad didn't do a little bit more research, because if they did, they would have found out that after he was traded to the Boston Celtics, Kyrie Irving came out and said that he was just trolling the media, it was all jokes, and he knows the earth isn't flat. He knows the earth is round. Seriously, I just hope no Cavs fans are still butthurt that Kyrie Irving asked to be traded, because I mean, come on. You guys got better as a team this offseason, even though you lost Kyrie Irving. You guys have no right to be upset anymore. If anyone had a right to be upset this summer, it would be like the Utah Jazz. They lost their star player, Gordon Hayward, to the Boston Celtics for nothing at all, and you don't even see them being that tight about it. Kyrie Irving, though, wasn't the only player who had some shots fired at him on a subway. Actually, he might have been the only player, but he wasn't the only NBA thing that got taken shots at. The entire New York Knicks organization got ripped a new one by a subway ad. First off, they got a Joakim Noah jersey up on the seats, and it doesn't get much more disrespectful and insulting than that. And right next to it, it says that nothing will change until Dolan sells the team. And then you got some more too. Sit here if you blame Phil, sit here if you blame Melo, and sit here if you blame Dolan. And personally, I'm putting it on Phil Jackson and James Dolan, but that's just me. And I guess James Dolan just wasn't having it. The dude wasn't happy at all, because he reportedly called Fox Sports, they were the ones running these ads, livid. He was upset beyond belief, cussed him out on the phone, I don't know, which caused them to take down the ad. Today, FS1 features statements on a New York City subway car intended to reflect the distinct emotions and opinions of passionate sports fans. We regret the tone and are removing the content in its entirety. So, all of a sudden, James Dolan cares. How convenient that he cares now, but he didn't care enough to show up to the NBA draft. D'Angelo Russell, by far the best thing that has happened to the Brooklyn Nets organization since they became the Brooklyn Nets organization. Even though it feels like they haven't had a lottery pick in who knows how long, they still managed to land a young player to build their franchise around this summer in D'Angelo Russell. This was a great offseason for the Brooklyn Nets because of that. And it seems like D'Angelo Russell is ready to lead this Brooklyn Nets team to the promised land, as he said this right after practice and right before his first preseason game yesterday. I think the first preseason game is an opportunity for me to lay my stamp on what I've been working on, but more importantly, with the team. I want to establish my role right away. Just be aggressive and make things happen so guys know they can look to me and know they're going to get that from me. A lot of people are excited to see what D'Lo can do this upcoming season. I am one of them, and yesterday he did show signs that it could be a very exciting season for him. It was just a preseason game, but still he played really well in his first preseason game for the Brooklyn Nets. In his 20 minutes of play, he put up 19 points on an extremely efficient 50% shooting from the field. It looks like the Brooklyn Nets might actually be watchable this year because of D'Angelo Russell. But that's going to do it for today, guys. Let me know what you think about all of this down in the comment section below. Hope you guys did enjoy the video. If you did, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe for more daily NBA news and updates. And until tomorrow, keep getting the buckets, Team STC, and I'm out of here. Peace!